This is someone that should not really be in the spotlight, that should be operating behind the scenes as the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, but Sue Gray has been in the spotlight, as you say, questions over her pay, briefings about how Number 10 is working, whether she has too much power, and now we have confirmation that looks like she is being moved. I'm reading this for the first time out loud to you. So Keir Starmer said, "I want to thank Sue Gray for all the support she has given me, both in opposition and government, and her work to prepare us for government and get us started on our programme of change." He goes on to say that she's played a vital role in strengthening our relations with the regions and nations, and I'm delighted that she will continue to support that work. So this is a new role that she's going to be given. Sue Gray has said in response, "I'm pleased to have accepted the new role as a Prime Minister's envoy for the regions and nations. After leading the Labour Party's preparations for government and kick-starting work on our programme for change, I'm looking forward to drawing on my experience to support the Prime Minister and the Cabinet to help deliver the government's objectives across the nations and regions of the UK, in addition to building a close partnership with devolved governments." And she goes on to say she's delighted about the new role. It's been an honour to take on the role of Chief of Staff and to play my part in delivery of a Labour government. So she is moving. She's accepted a new role as a Prime Minister's envoy for the nations and regions. Remains to be seen exactly what that new role is going to involve. But as I say, look, this is someone who has been in the spotlight. Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff. There have been briefings, leaks from people about her pay, about tensions right at the top of government. And now it looks like there's been some sort of restructure, a restructure right at the top of government. Of course, worth saying that now Keir Starmer is looking to find two people in his top team. Of course, Simon Case, Cabinet Secretary, most senior civil servant, has said that he will be going at the end of the year, and Sue Gray, his Chief of Staff. So two very important roles, Sue Gray as Chief of Staff and most senior civil servant, two vacant roles that the Prime Minister will be looking to fill. Of course, it won't be his decision. But when it comes to Simon Case, but Sue Gray's decision to leave, whether or not it was entirely her decision, what role Keir Starmer played in all of this, what exactly has happened behind the scenes, that remains to be seen. But this afternoon, some very significant breaking news coming from Downing Street that Sue Gray has been moved to a different role. She's accepted a role as the Prime Minister's envoy for the nations and regions, and she will no longer be acting as his Chief of Staff.
Ali, it certainly was Labour's decision to appoint Sue Gray as Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff. And prior to that, she had been a civil servant herself. And of course, she carried out the investigation into Partygate, which implicated several people of wrongdoing in Downing Street during the pandemic, and not least Simon Case. You fast forward, over a year, and suddenly they're having to work together, and now they're both leaving. If you were being kind, you'd say this is just the rocky road of coming into government. If you're being unkind, you'd say it was a shambles.
Look, I think what we have seen in the last few weeks, just in the fact that some of these stories have been leaked, is that what is not an altogether straightforward relationship at the top of Number 10, and it is very clear that there were those that weren't totally happy with the way that Sue Gray was operating. And what is clear, I think, is that Keir Starmer wasn't happy with the fact that she was constantly in the public eye. That's not something that you would want. You would not want these negative briefings. You would not want photos of your Chief of Staff on the front pages, as we've seen happen in the last few weeks. So, no, it was not an altogether straightforward relationship. As you say, this is someone that has been in the spotlight since that Partygate report, when she was a civil servant that looked into what was going on in Downing Street under Boris Johnson. In fact, she's been back in the spotlight as Boris Johnson has done a series of interviews about his book in the last few days, and he effectively has blamed her as part of the reason for his downfall. She, of course, then sparked controversy when she moved from the civil service to join Labour, to join Keir Starmer in his bid to be Prime Minister and become his Chief of Staff when he won that general election. So she has a very important role right at the top of government. That is now a vacant position that the Prime Minister will need to fill.